Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
These things should never be added or happen in Boom Beach Warships. Guys, the chicken is here. We're back today with another Boom Beach video. Kind of piggybacking off of yesterday's topic where we were talking about how to make a tech tree. If you didn't see that, I'll link it up right over here. So we kind of concluded that there are some certain things that should never happen in Warships. I wanted to make today's video just simply all about that. Guys, if you haven't already, if you enjoy the videos, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate those of you using that code CHICKEN in the shop. Let's start off with some things that should never happen in Warship seasons. Now, if you guys agree or disagree, I want to hear from you down below in the comments, and then maybe we can bring some of our ideas here to the team. So I think the biggest thing that should never happen at all in Warships is having a full season with only one troop health node. That is, one troop health node is 50%. We should never have seasons that have 50% troop health. Why? Because it does two things. Number one, it becomes a fizzle meta, which means that it becomes very difficult to collect chests. Essentially, anything that makes it hard, not hard, but impossible to collect chests or to take down not to entirely take down the base, but the problem is when we get to like 4 ERs or something, for example, we saw this a couple seasons back, and there was a stretch of time, it was a day or 2 days, where it was impossible to chest collect for some people. So we should do everything that we can to make sure that never happens, and the simple way around it is giving us more troop health. Or, if you are going to have a 50 troop health season, at least put it super early in the tech tree like we have right now. Let's see here. We can go to Mr. Lava Giant. And where's he at? Yeah, so we actually only had 50% troop health this entire season. But the difference was we had it early on. And for the most part, we had it early on. If we have... The problem with the other season was we had 50% troop health, but it was after 70 hours. We didn't have troop health the entire season, so everyone was fizzling, and it was not good. And even this season, it became, without bombardiers, having, I don't know, they just do some things sometimes that just don't make any sense to me. Like, if we're going to have a season without bombardiers, why would we not have more troop health to make other stuff viable, to make heavy Zuka viable, to make, riflemen more viable? If you want us, if you want to adjust the stats to have us change up the troop metas, like make those metas available, like hidden warriors or whatever, and don't put them where it doesn't make sense. So we ended up having to use laser rangers, which is fine, but they were so far back in the tech tree that we were essentially using rocket choppers for a long time. I don't know. This season it kind of worked, so I don't want to make it sound like we're talking too much about that. But yeah, it's just an easy fix. It's just a simple thing. Don't have 50 troop health available at the very end of the tech tree if we're only going to have 50 troop health for the season. Okay, so next up, this one will be a little bit more controversial, but I think every season should have bombardiers. I really do. And, the bombardiers, it's kind of like... I feel like they're almost like a bailout troop for a bad tech tree design. You know what I mean? Because, no matter what you put where, bombers are going to be able to take down the base for the most part. Depending on what else that we have. Actually, that's not true. As long as the first rule that applies that we have the right troop health, bombers are going to be able to take down any base. So that's good. That's good. That's like a safety net. It means we're not going to get stuck, and it's not going to be, a disastrous fizzle meta. The other thing is, bombardiers are... then we're not relying so much on another troop. For example, the laser rangers were really the only other viable option we saw this season, for example, because we couldn't really do heavy chopper rush with any success anyways because of the low amount of troop health. We talked about the hidden warrior and that kind of stuff. I think bombardiers should honestly be in every season because when you have bombers, you've got a viable troop meta. You've got a viable combo. and you can build off of that. You can do something else. Maybe if you want to go seekers instead of bombers, you can do that. It's not like this season where we had one, it was get to heavy chopper and laser rangers, and that was, pretty well it. I mean, you could use heavy chopper, rocket chopper, but not competitively at the very end. You had to essentially use heavy choppers and laser rangers. So yeah, bombardiers gives you another option, to change things up a bit, which is nice. And yeah, so the next thing I think they should never do, I think they should never have the mines available super early, all three of them at least. So if we're going to be doing a heavy rush, it's not fun to go against mines, boom mines, and shock mines, all at the same time, because it's just like you're throwing your troops out and they just die instantly. Now, this season, again, just for example, because we got it pulled up here, it was a little bit different because we had the mines all available, but there was kind of better stuff that was worth rushing towards. So obviously, I never actually got boom mines, but if we look back in 3 ERs, that was totally the defensive meta, was to get all the mines at the beginning of the season, because it was almost impossible to take down some of those bases, right? And they were really strong really early on. And I think that's easy to space them out. Like we said in yesterday's video, put the shock mines where the seekers are, or in that kind of area, and just build the tree out kind of from there. If you want to put seekers at 4 ER or 5 ERs, whatever, and keep the shock mines kind of around them, because having them early on, it just makes it a grindy, slow, heavy rush that, it's already slow and it's already kind of monotonous. So adding the shock mines in on top of that doesn't really make it more fun. It just makes it a lot slower. And another thing is they should always have flares, in my opinion. Flares should always be before 4 ER. That should be, that should be like one of the warship rules, that you can't put it past 4 ER. I don't know. I don't remember in any recent seasons if they've done that, but that's something that we definitely do not want to have, is having no flares early on. Yeah. And we talked about yesterday too a little bit, the barrage and artillery problem. So they used to do that a lot. They would put barrage and artillery at like 3 and 4, or even early 5 ERs, and then it just became, who can press the buttons the fastest, who can put down, barrage and artillery and take down literally the entire base. So obviously we want to avoid that, because you're not even playing the game at that point. It's just, who can mash the engine rooms the fastest. So we always want to avoid that too. And I think if they're going to put one early, put artillery early, and then put barrage later on. But, space them out. Or if you want to keep them together, and, keep them at least, 5 and 6 ER, I think makes a lot of sense. Unless you want to put artillery in 4 ER, or obviously this season it ended up working out having a little bit early in 3 ERs. But yeah, I think they should always be spaced out from each other, unless they're going to be later on in the tech tree. Now, in terms of the other stat nodes, building health, building damage, gunboat energy, I mean, they can really go wild with those, with the defensive ones, as long as there's the troop health to balance that, as long as we're still able to take down the bases. And I think they should, keep troop health at 100 for a minimum, keep troop damage at 100 for a minimum, and then play with the building health and play with the building damage, the defensive stat nodes, depending on, what kind of season they want it to be. If they want it to be, your rushing offense, or if they want it to be your rushing defense. Play around with those nodes a little bit. But I think we need the offensive ones at a minimum, because when you make offense too hard or defense way too strong, that's when we run into problems. So I think those are some of the basics on what needs to be in the tech tree. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I want to hear your guys' ideas. So let me know that down below in the comment section. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if it's interesting, entertaining, or informative. Catch the next one, guys. Checking out. Back.